Okay, let's jump right into it. Dr. Paul Oosterhuis will probably be joining us, but at the moment it's just me, Australia's favourite suspended doctor, Dr. William Bay.
And that's all we need, Michael. Cafe Lockdown is just you, me, and the viewers, and we will win.
Now, fill us in with why we're here on a special we don't usually do this time. So fill us in.
So today we are having the judgment by the High Court on my application to the High Court to have my application for the constitutionality of the 2023 referendum declared on or off. So I have attempted a filing, and some would say I did file, some would say I didn't file. On the 5th of September, I got the stamp from Justice Jago, which I believe put it on the record. Some had a different view about that. Again, I apologise to anybody if I misled them in any way, but I am confident of the win in this referendum and have believed firmly, as I always have, that we will win, because once we get these issues on the record, they have to be disproved for us to lose. And we haven't had that loss as of yet. So we are winning. Now, the application was refused to be filed by Justice Jago, and then after talking with a lawyer or two, he advised and they advised that to make sure of the win, to get it firmly on the record, I should proceed with a Form 31. So that's what I did on September 11th. I filed a Form 31. It was accepted for filing, and I did get a file number. So that issue of whether it was filed or not is now fully dealt with. It is on the record. And today is the outcome, Michael, of that filing of that application, that Form 31 application. What I foresee today...
Say the outcome, are you saying that the High Court guys have all got together, looked at it, decided and gone away, or it's just whether they accept the file?
No. It's already been accepted for filing. That's why I've got that file number, as I announced with grandmother Mulara on last week. I think it was on the Wednesday night or Tuesday night.
And we'd like to thank you for coming on and being so warm and courteous with us under difficult times. It was really great of her.
Yes, it's always really healthy to get things out and discussed, I think, and that's how we move forward with progress in this country. And I want to thank you, Michael, for giving me an opportunity to get my view on the referendum out there, because without you, what I'm doing in the High Court wouldn't really matter even, because even today, at this moment, this historic moment perhaps, your show is the only show that is interested in knowing about it. I have not received any calls from Channel 7, Channel 9, ABC, although, they're always watching me and they're ready to report bad news about me. But when we have something positive developing for the country, they're nowhere to be found, right? So I thank you for
it's a pleasure to have you on,
in.
Because I like more stress in my life. It's good.
So look, I think that if we do get a victory today, and I'll explain what a victory is in a moment, you'll have the exclusive, cool. and we'll get some good justice on the mainstream media, because they should have been onto this story already, mate.
Isn't Friday golf and drinks in High Court? Don't worry, after 12 midday. G'day, Martin. Okay, so... Yeah,
just on that comment there, though, Michael, I must say that commenter, I can't see their first name, but somebody, Taylor, does bring up an interesting point. I think it's interesting that we've got a judgment being delivered on Friday afternoon at 3:30 p.m.
Yeah, Martin, great friend.
So I don't know. Yeah.
They rushed it out.
Well, I did ask.
The High Court was a slow-moving beast. You know what I mean? Just these archaic old people. You have to brush off the dust, and they all come together and they look up old books and finally make some boring thing. But they're actually pretty snippy. Maybe no one approaches them. We all think they're busy, but you're the only one who actually approaches them. I don't know. How many High Court rulings are we waiting upon?
No, they do have a lot of cases, and that's why I'm in my office today, not at the High Court, because the majority of the rulings are done on the papers, like we're doing today. The justices review the documents and make a decision online, so to speak. There are a few cases that go before the justices physically, and even now they've got like Zoom sessions, live streaming sessions, so there'll be less face-to-face decisions in the future even. Having said that, most of these on the papers decisions, Michael, are issued at 9:30 a.m. So, and there wasn't any 9:30 a.m. Decisions today. So very interesting. I don't know what that signifies. I'm hoping it's a good sign. And in regards to the signs, there are 5 possible outcomes today. So
Okay.
would you like me to start with the best or the worst?
Yeah. Worst.
The worst. Okay. The worst outcome for me personally would be that the ruling on my application is that it's vexatious. That means that I'm an evil person and I should never have started this quest in the first place, and it will slap me down for future lawsuits going forward.
With that though, just to hold you up there, wouldn't that
Yep.
mean vexatious is when you're constantly approaching the courts and taking up their time with irrelevant cases, which you're not doing? You're taking on APRA, and you've only got 2. It's not like you're...
Yeah, well, vexatiousness is not so much on frequency of cases, because you could have many justifiable matters or you could have many crap matters. So what really they look at is whether there were grounds for the matter to start and file on the controversy in the first place. I have argued that I do have solid grounds on this matter because I think that Section 128 of the Constitution is very clear. This is what my application is all about, that it says that the proposed law should be given to the electors at the time of voting, not the title of the law. And there's no real issue about the evidence. It's quite clear what are the facts. I mean, it is a fact that on the ballot paper they are only putting the title of the law. It is a fact that they are not putting the law on the ballot paper. So I think the facts are with me, and for that reason, I should not be held to be a vexatious applicant, Michael.
I agree. So that was a comment here from Mandy. If you want to do that, there's one of these people who hate you but log into everything you're doing just to. Can you read it? Do you want to answer it at all?
Yeah, it says the number he got was just to say something. It doesn't give him standing. He is so ignorant of how the courts work. So I don't know what she means by that, but because this matter has been accepted for filing, I am going to get judgment now. So I do have standing in this matter. I could not get a ruling without having standing. So again, there'll be 5 outcomes today, and we'll see what that outcome is.
So you said there was 5. We've heard 1, vexatious.
Yeah.
What's number 4?
The 4th one would be frivolous. So frivolous is about that I should not have filed in the first place because there wasn't a single chance of success. Never was, never could be, never will be. I would find that a very disheartening ruling for everybody if I was to get that ruling, because that would probably dissuade people from going down this constitutional challenge after the referendum, if it is so required. If by some magic the no case loses, that would be very disappointing. And I certainly don't think it's frivolous, because again, the facts show that they are only putting the title of the law on the ballot paper, and the Constitution says you must have the full law, the proposed law, all the law, so that people can make an informed choice, Michael, full informed consent on changing the most important law in Australia. So that's why I think that my matter is not frivolous. I've also referred to case law in my application, that being Boland v. Hughes, 1988, that an almost identical matter was raised in the High Court in 1988. That wasn't declared vexatious. That wasn't declared frivolous. So I think there's a good precedent there that what I've done is lawful and just. So that was number 4. Number 3 is that they'll find that what I've done is an abusive process. That being, I shouldn't have filed in the High Court. I should have filed in federal court, perhaps, or another jurisdiction. That would go to standing and the more of the frequency, number of times I filed in this matter. I don't think, again, I could be wrong, I'm not a justice. I don't think that I'll be found to be abusing the process, because the Constitution says quite clearly, the High Court website says quite clearly, that matters of constitutional interpretation are to be decided by the High Court. And again, that case of Boland v. Hughes was heard in the High Court. So if they can hear that matter, they should be able to hear mine. But we'll see what they have to say. The second outcome for today is that the High Court is not the jurisdiction to hear this matter. That's a possibility, I think, because Clive Palmer has recently sued over the interpretation of the Referendum Machinery Provisions 1984 Act as well. He didn't take his matters to the High Court, he took his to the Federal Court. Having said that, he's not arguing the constitutionality of the Referendum Act. He's just saying that the Referendum Act needed to be interpreted in a better way regarding the ticks and the crosses. So that is my justification as to taking to the High Court, because it's on the core work of the High Court, which is interpretation of the Constitution, our most fundamental law, the law that guides all other laws. And then the big one, number one of the 5 option, Michael, is success. They declare that my matter is neither vexatious, frivolous, and abusive process or outside the jurisdiction of the High Court, and that we're going to have a full hearing on the matter, and hopefully pronto. I do hope we can get that.
Well, it would have to be pronto, because it'd have to happen before the referendum.
Correct, and that is why on my application I have indeed requested expediency or urgency in this matter, for the reason that we need to get this sorted prior to the referendum, because to leave it during or after the referendum is just going to have a huge shadow of doubt over the whole thing and waste $364 million. So that is why I have requested, and hopefully we'll get expediency if my matter is so accepted.
People attacking you, but everyone, including your attackers, has to thank you for the amount of viewers they've all had. You know, I know Guru got a lot of viewers when he went on his page. I've seen other people. Malcolm Roberts got a ton of viewers when he said you were wrong, and then you got another load of viewers when he double dipped and came back and actually stated your case in Parliament. Double dipping, Malcolm, it's not fair. And so there's a lot of people talking about this that that have done very well from your stance. So there's a lot of people out there owe you a lot of thanks, including us. I mean, that opening thing where you came on and announced it went ballistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that this tops it today, and I think it will if we get that number 5 outcome, because that'll be game on. And that'll get the mainstream media involved, and it will be a very contentious issue, as it should be, because we need to be most careful, most diligent when issues of changing the foundational law of this country are being put to the electors. As always,
why they would cancel, why they would say no, because I know, as Paul was telling me, Paul Oosterhouse, the case was very strong, and Malcolm brought it up in Parliament, basically word for word, verbatim. So
I think the case is strong. It's been looked at by several people, and there's the articles in Quadrant Online from Emeritus Professor Michael Detmold. There's Michael Wood, the King's Counsel barrister.
I just want to say this here now. Sorry to interrupt you, Billy. Just with this, is it for Tina? For Tina, the lawyers are about as useful as priests in this period of time. Apart from a few lawyers, apart from a few and Julian Gillespie and others, the other lawyers have betrayed you, girl. We haven't seen them. Where's your civil rights lawyers that came out with everything? Where's the other lawyers? You know what I mean? And they cost an awful lot of money. And the freedom movement doesn't have any money. So in actual fact, no, Ken's Fiona, but blow it out your ass. Proceed.
Now, that doesn't get the attention of the mainstream media, that comment. I don't know what will. More important than views is the integrity of this referendum, because there's no point the Yes campaign winning if people like me, after the fact, are just going to sue them and undermine their legitimacy in the court or otherwise. And so they have as much interest in the constitutionality of this referendum as anybody. And as an Aboriginal person, I would be disgusted to see that they've changed the wording of the proposed law away from recognising Aborigines as First People to not even mentioning Aborigines as the First Peoples at all in the title of the proposed law. I don't think people understand what I'm trying to say there or to express there. If you look closely at the ballot paper, at the proposed title, it doesn't even mention Aborigines as the First Peoples. That's how deceptive this basically it's a new referendum is. It's a new referendum, totally divorced from the actual changes that are going to be happening to the Constitution. And that is why we must fight hard on this issue.
Sorry to interrupt again. I'm just going to say we've got some things in with lawyers. Mandy, do you know in Victoria now, they've passed a law so draconian, you don't need habeas corpus. That's thrown out since the Magna Carta. That happened All the QCs were against it. They couldn't stop it. The lawyers were all against it. They couldn't stop it. They could have, but they didn't. So the lawyers have failed Australia, a lot of them, Mandy. So you're full of shit, Mandy. I'm sorry, you're going on, but they're not. You're absolutely full of shit. Our country is in disarray because the churches that should have protected us, the doctors that should have protected us, the unions that should have protected us, and the lawyers that should have protected us all failed in their duty. And Dan Andrews has managed to pass laws. It was the people, 700,000 people in the streets who knew how bad these laws were, who were trying to fight it, and it still went through. Dan Andrews actually said, I don't even know what they're protesting against. That happened on your watch. So with your lawyers. So good luck. In fact, we managed to, I had a young man approach me who wanted to talk about Dan's proposed laws when before we started Kill the Bill. And I actually gave it to her, an ex-Romanian lawyer and another Jewish lawyer whose parents were in Auschwitz. And we actually went on and started talking about how draconian this law is. And that was it. But they couldn't do anything with it. So, Mandy, I don't know where you've been, girl, but no. What's happened, everything, the Constitution has been overwritten, everything. And so basically what it is your nose out of joint, and you need someone like Billy to lose to make you feel good about the fact that you're probably a coward. That's the truth, Mandy. So, yeah. So anyway, we're not going to put any more up because we're trying to do something here. So if we're going to lose, we're going to lose, but that's it. But yeah. Anyway, Billy.
Yeah. So this is what I want to show everybody. This is, I know it's probably back to front. I'm not sure. Is it back to front, Michael?
No, the case for voting, yes.
Yeah, and that's the case for voting, no. And in the white box is what everybody needs to be aware of. This is what they're going to put on the ballot paper, okay? This one sentence, I'll read it to everybody. It's to alter the Constitution to recognise the First Peoples of Australia by establishing an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, so this is the section. There it is on page 8 and 9. And then on page 6, this is actually the reality. This is what will be inserted into the Constitution.
Yeah.
Not that little nice and airy fairy lovey-dovey box, but that big boy who's had too many ice creams. That's going in on in the Constitution of Australia, section 129. If we do not stop them. Now, we can stop them at the ballot box. We can stop them via marketing. We can stop them via the courts. Whatever way, I promise you we will stop them, because I cannot foresee a country living under such tyranny as that section 129 prescribes. Because in my opinion, that section 129 hands over all democracy to a small group of people, an unrepresented, unelected body of people. I don't know who they're going to be. And they're going to be able to advise, or even worse than advise, give representations to the Parliament and to the executive on all laws, Michael. And that is the truth of the matter.
No, I got nothing. I was just thinking.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, what I was going to say is that in my application to the High Court, what I've complained about is that when we look at this in comparison to what's actually going on the ballot paper, which is that white box again, what's missing from here in the white box is A, that there will be a new chapter 9 of the Constitution. B, there will be an insertion of a new section, that is section 129. C, that there will be 3 subsections to this new sections, sections I, and I. And D, that the new body may make representations to the Parliament. E, the body may make representations to the executive government. F, the representations are in matters relating to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders peoples. And G, the Parliament shall have power to make laws with respect to matters relating to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice, including its composition, functions, powers and procedures. So that's all what's missing from that tiny little box on the ballot paper. And that is why I think it's illegal.
Also, as people are saying here, like I'll just bring the Petite, we were protested, we were shot at with chemicals and microwaves. You know, this is what's been happening. We've been attacked. Yeah, when we've been protesting, standing up for our rights by the government, and now wants us to trust them. And so it's like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The lockdowns have been proven to be bullshit. The vaccine has been proven to be bullshit. The masks have been proven to be bullshit. They're still selling the vaccine. They're still threatening lockdowns. And now they're trying to get people to wear masks, even though everyone knows it's bullshit. And now they want us to trust them with the Constitution. So I'm a big no. No, sorry. I don't trust you guys.
And if you don't know, I think people should vote no. And I think a lot of people don't know because they haven't explained it well. And even when they have explained it, they've hidden away from people the truth of the matter, which is that an entire section 129, is going into the Constitution, and that is a very important differentiation. And with that, giving the Parliament the power to make all up the details later, we're just giving them a blank checkbook to write up any rules they want for anybody. It's so scary because we just don't know what the future will bring.
That's right. And they can't be trusted. I'm sorry, they cannot be trusted. We still don't know what's in the vaccine. We haven't seen the contracts with Pfizer. We've got all these people sick and dying. They're not getting any compensation from Pfizer. You know, so the big farmers made tons and tons of money out of our suffering, and still they go on. And they seem to be, like I've heard recently, I didn't see it, that Albo's been crying about The Voice. So they're just trying to push the vibe on us, like The Castle. Except now, you know,
back to front.
It's back to front.
Yeah, well, hopefully we won't even get there, because if this hearing goes ahead in time, then it will not be going ahead on the 14th of October. And that's, again, why I requested expediency. But we'll see. We'll find out. The waiting is soon at an end. We shall see in about 6 minutes. We'll check in to see if the rulings come through. But if I may digress for a moment, because we're all pretty much in agreement that The Voice is a big fat no. If you wanted to, Michael, I was wondering we could talk about the treaty.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Well, we have a video of Bob Hawke. I had Bruce Shillingsworth on the other day, and he's an amazing young man. And I found on his website, Bob Hawke in the 70s promising to be a treaty. Never happened. Right.
Yeah. My view on The Voice and the treaty is that we don't need The Voice to have a treaty, and that we should have a treaty. But because I don't feel responsible for the crimes that were committed in the past, and I don't think my children are responsible for the crimes that were committed in the past, I think that in a treaty, to not divide the country and to lay the responsibility at the people who did commit the crimes of the past, I think we should have a treaty, but not between Australia and the Aboriginal people, but between Australia and the United Kingdom. I think the United Kingdom was the people who took the land from the Aborigines unlawfully. I think it was the United Kingdom who did not do the right thing and declared terra nullius on this country rather than it was inhabited by people. So I think the United Kingdom should pay, if negotiations go that way, to the Aboriginal people, to Australia, to Australians, because we should not divide this country. There should not be a treaty amongst ourselves, but there should be between us and Great Britain, the Commonwealth. That is what my position on reparations or justice for the Aboriginal people are.
I have been astounded, though, as I've travelled the country, talking to Indigenous leaders and just ordinary Indigenous people, how they don't know anything about The Voice. They haven't been approached by it, haven't heard anything. Most of the Indigenous I talked to said they don't want any more division. Division has to end. And this seems to me division. You got this little class of people decide for the rest of us. Hey, here he comes.
Big division.
Down the bottom.
Here's more division. We're at 3 ways now.
Yeah, Dr. Paul is
Hey, Paul.
the house. So we're just waiting. We've got a few trials, not many, but we're just waiting.
And Paul, I was just saying, rather than a treaty to divide the country, instead of a voice, because I'm firmly of the opinion that The Voice has gone dead and dusted, I'm personally in support of a treaty. I'd be happy to hear your thoughts, but I want a treaty not between Aborigines and Australians, but Aboriginal Australians, because I believe they are Australians like we all are, and between Great Britain or the United Kingdom, the ones who were responsible for taking their land in the first place illegally. I don't see why myself and my children should pay for that, but I do think the United Kingdom should. What do you think about that, Paul?
It's an interesting point. It is very confusing who actually owns the country. Is it the corporations? Is it the people? Is it the government? Who actually is the government, and where the power is vested? we had these discussions around the referendum for the Republic some years ago. So I think we need to strip things back all the way to the bare studs and reimagine our political system. One where the power devolves from the ground up, from the people up, rather than being dictated from some lofty heights.
We're like serfs at the moment. They just dictate to us. We're like serfs, especially in certain states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking when you said about England paying retribution, I was just wondering what King Charles would sound like when he'd go, "Fuck you." What it sounds like in
reparations, but the idea that I saw a picture and it was sort of a bit of a meme where it said this, just a little child, and saying, "You're going to blame this child to pay off, for slavery that happened many years before her birth."
Well, that's what we're talking about, the convicts. I mean, the convicts were basically slaves. They brought slaves here,
Yes, yeah. Jacinta Price had a point yesterday, I think it was, where they were talking about intergenerational trauma with Aborigines. And as an Aboriginal person herself, she said, well, I've got double the intergenerational trauma because I was traumatized not just with that, but also with being having convict white fellas in my family tree as well. So maybe I should get paid twice, I think she said. But the principle holds. Okay, it's just come through. It's just come through.
Oh my God.
It's come through. It's come through.
Here we go. We've been waiting for this. Here we go. Okay,
all right.
Australia.
All right. Let's have a look. Oh, okay. Okay, it says the reasons have been filed. Please log into your High Court system to review the documents. Okay, all right. I must say I haven't had an email like that one before. Normally the decision's in the email itself. So I've got to now log into more tension. I've got to log in now to find out what it actually says.
Here we go.
Logging in now. High Court of Australia, signing in. We have won. We have won, I believe. Let me read it. It says listed. Ladies and gentlemen, there are no. Oh my God! Praise God! All glory to God. There is no document for me to read the reasons yet, but my matter in the High Court Registry says that it is listed now. I guess we got to wait to see exactly what that means. But I'm interpreting that as that it has not been found vexatious. It has not been found an abusive process. It has not been found frivolous. It has been found real, valid, and just. However, we got to wait because I still haven't got the actual explanation yet. So we got to be a bit cautious still, but I'm very, very hopeful.
It's been listed. It's been listed. It's not just filed. It's been listed now.
Yes, it's been listed. It's been listed.
Which
it's
means
been listed.
That's good, right?
It's very good.
Well, they haven't thrown it out.
Well,
listed. All right.
Okay, I've got the document now. Here we go. The true potatoes coming out. Let's find out right now. In the matter of an application by William Anitcha Bay for leave in regards to the constitutionality of the 2023 referendum, we have judgment, matter number B50 of 2023. Judgment by Chief Justice of the High Court, CJ Chief Justice Kifel. She says, drum roll please. On the 4th of September, it's a long one. It's 7 pages. On the 4th of September 2023, the applicant filed an application for a constitutional or other writ. In it, he sought declarations that Form B of Schedule 1, Forms of the Referendum Machinery Provisions Act 1984, is constitutionally invalid. A writ of mandamus and an injunction with respect to ballot papers for the referendum to be held on 14 October 2023. On 5 September 2023, Justice Jago directed, pursuant to Regulation 6.07.2 of the High Court Rules 2004 Commonwealth, that the registrar refuse to issue or file the application without the leave of the justice first had and obtained by the applicant, which is me. The applicant now seeks that leave by way of an ex parte application, which means without the Commonwealth and the AEC present, filed on the September 11th, 2023, pursuant to Regulation 6.0.7.3 of the High Court Rules. Paragraph 2. Form B of Schedule 1 of the Referendum Act provides that part of the wording on ballot papers is to contain the title of the proposed law. The Constitution Alteration, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice Bill 2023 Commonwealth, was passed by both Houses of Parliament on 19th of June 2023. The long title of the bill is A Bill for an Act to Alter the Constitution to Recognise the First Peoples of Australia by Establishing an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice. This is what the applicant takes to be intended as inserted on the referendum ballot paper by reference to materials published by the Australian Electoral Commission. Paragraph 3. The applicant's first basis for the order sought is that a reference to the title of an act, the subject of a referendum, is inconsistent with the requirement of Section 128 of the Constitution that the proposed law is to be submitted to electors. He contends that Section 128 does not specify that the title of the proposed law is to be submitted to electors. Yep, I'm liking that. Paragraph 4. As observed by Chief Justice Mason, case law, Paul, loving this, in Boland v. Hughes, Section 128 does not deal with the content or form of a proposed law or the form in which the question should be submitted on a referendum. The applicant concedes that the Parliament has the power to define the content of the proposed law to alter the Constitution. That being the case, there would seem to be no reason why the content of the proposed law cannot be provided by reference through its title to the bill incorporating the proposed constitutional amendment to be submitted to the electors at referendum. Paragraph 5. Despite the applicant's concession, his application does challenge what is to be stated as the content of the proposed law. He contends that more information, including the substance and spirit of the law, is required. The argument is not put as an alternative, and no basis is articulated for it. Paragraph 6, the applicant's second basis for the order sought is that the Referendum Act, in the provision it makes in Form B, impermissibly hinders the implied freedom of political communication. The submission misapprehends the nature of the implied freedom and the communication to which it is addressed. The concern of the implied freedom is that what persons are able to say about matters of politics and government is not unduly restricted or burdened. The applicant's argument is about the need for further information to be supplied to the electorate to inform their decision on the referendum and to enable him to speak to electors. The applicant, paragraph 7. Page 5 of 7. The applicant contends that he has standing to bring the application because he will be a candidate for the Queensland state election and he has made representations to electors about the substance of the proposed constitutional alteration. Paragraph 8. It is not necessary to consider the question of standing here in the context of the referendum winning. By Regulation 6.0.7.1, leave to issue or file should be refused where the document would amount to an abuse of process. The latter term encompasses proceedings which are foredoomed to fail as the proceedings, proposed proceedings are. There will be an order that the ex parte application filed on 11 September 23 for leave to issue or file an application for a constitutional other writ be refused. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I lost for the reason of an abuse of process.
Okay.
So to not put this to a vote is to concede defeat. You only win when you run on the field and engage. And let me tell you, my government is engaged. We're all in.
Monuments put front